We've got this fantastic new watch with a complication that hasn't been seen in decades, but we don't have a name. What are we going to call it? Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome to the first Erebus release of 2026, but one that we have been working on since 2023. It's a field watch with a twist, an hour wheel that flicks every 12 hours, so it displays 24-hour military time using only one set of numerals. These go on pre-order today, the 7th of March. I will of course leave a link in the description of the video to the erebuswatches.com website. You can check them out there for yourself. Not only are we launching the 24 in two different sizes, 40mm and 38mm, but we're launching it in 10 different colours, so you have 20 watches to choose from. So if you want a traditional field watch colour like black, light brown or light green, you're sorted. But if you want something with a bit more punch like red or purple, you've also got options, and you've got options regardless of your wrist size. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jody, custom module, complication that hasn't been seen in decades, this is going to be really expensive. But this is still an Erebus, and at Erebus we try and give you as much watch as possible for as little money as possible. These are only $499 US plus shipping plus any applicable taxes or the equivalent in your local currency. We think that is a great price for a watch as unique and as interesting as this one. All applicable taxes are now taken care of at checkout, so all packages now ship duties paid, so no more unwelcome surprises from courier companies. Plus, because it's an Erebus, you only pay 50% now and the other 50% a few weeks before we actually deliver, and we'll be delivering well before the end of the year. More on that later. Alright, if I've got to show you 20 different watches today, then I better get on with it. So we'll start with a good look at the watch, the complication, the dimensions and specifications. I'll run you through all 10 different colour versions and I'll show you exactly what you get for your money. Then I thought I would talk a little bit about the inspiration behind the watch. This complication hasn't been seen in decades, but that's not to say it's never been seen before. I'll run you through my own moans and niggles because even though it's my watch, I still find things to complain about. And I'll tell you where else you might expect to see reviews of the 24 in case you want a few more opinions before you add one of these to your collection. Let's get on with it. And let's start by having a good look at the complication itself then. The 24 is powered by a Miyota 9039 Japanese-made automatic movement, but we have commissioned and paid for the development of a bespoke module that sits on top of that movement and allows the number wheel to flick back and forth every 12 hours. So you get the functionality and reliability of a 9000 series Miyota with our own particular twist applied. We think the complication lends itself perfectly to a field watch because it allows you to display 24-hour military time using only one set of numerals rather than two. Hence why the first watch we're launching with this module is a field watch. As such, we still wanted it to look like a field watch. We still wanted it to be clean and legible and functional, with well-proportioned hands pointing to a clean and crisp set of markers. The watch is made from 316L stainless steel. It is all brushed. Both sizes have a screw-down crown and a screw-on caseback to prevent water penetration. Both sizes are supplied with a colour-matched leather strap with curved end links for a great fit, plus a bonus black NATO style strap with Erebus branded hardware. Now all straps are supplied with quick release spring bars, but the case also featured drilled lugs if you have a favourite strap that you want to use instead. Loom, of course, is a consideration for after dark legibility, so all three hands feature loom, as does the dial. We chose a sector dial pattern for most of the range. Again, we thought this really suited the field watch aesthetic, and it allowed us to play around a little bit with the texture on the green and brown watch, whilst also allowing us to add 15-minute markers adjacent to the hour hand for improved functionality. The end result is a watch that we think not only satisfies someone looking for a tool-style field watch, but will also satisfy collectors looking for something a bit different, something perhaps they've never actually seen before. Let's get into dimensions and specifications then, and I'll start with the 40, which is, oddly enough, 40 millimeters in diameter, 11.6 mil thick with a lug to lug of just under 47 mil. Lug width is 20 millimeters, weight on the colour matched leather strap is 77 grams. Crystal is flat sapphire with 6 layers of anti-reflective undercoating. Water resistance is 100 meters with a screw down crown and screw on case back, and the movement, as discussed, is a custom 9039. The 38 is broadly similar, but there are a couple of differences. One, of course, is that it's 2 mil smaller. It is just as slim, coming in at 11.6 mil, but it has an even more compact lug to lug at 45 mil. 20 mils between the lugs again, slightly lighter at 71 grams. It's the same crystal, but you're getting 50 meters, 5 atmospheres of water resistance with the 38. And it's the same movement, of course. Colorways then. In some respects, we don't make it easy for ourselves, but because this is a pre-order, it allows us to offer the maximum number of colours as possible. You get to decide rather than us deciding a narrower selection. It's a field watch, so of course it's available in green, of course it's available in brown. Those two colours have a textured inner section in that sector dial section. I do like the brown one, it is one of my favourites. It's a really deep coffee bean style brown, this one. It's also available in black, but without the extra texture, and rather unusually for a field watch, we also have a white. Now the white is unique in that it has black hands for contrast and legibility. All other models have silver hands. Those 4 colours then we feel fall into a bit of a group together. Just as these 3 colours also fall into a bit of a group together. The blue is a really nice shade of blue, there's a vibrant purple, and I must admit, I'm a little bit obsessed with the red one. Hence why you will see the red one used in a lot of our press shots. Definitely not traditional field watch colours, more than for those who like the look and the complication, but want something with a bit more punch than you get from green, black or brown. And then we have 3 of what we're calling Erebus custom dials. The first is this lovely contour dial design. Again, it's a field watch. We wanted to have a bit of a play with that. So we included a topographical map in the center section featuring traditional grid lines and contour lines in between the various textures and tones. And if you want something even more unusual, then we have 2 designs featuring the Erebus logo prominently. The first one features the logo in relief and includes the brand name, model name and water resistance in printed text. The second one only features that Erebus logo in white against black, no other dial text whatsoever. I must admit, I'm also a bit of a fan of that one. Now, we're not necessarily expecting the custom dials to sell in huge numbers, but again, they offer people who want the complication a few choices that don't look as overtly militaristic as some of the others. All right, what else to tell you then? What about the lume? Now, we did not lume the numbers for reasons that are probably obvious, but will be discussed shortly anyway. But we did make sure there's plenty of Superluminova BGW9 on all 3 hands and on those triangular markers around the perimeter of the dial. Perhaps not a lume monster, this one, but it's one of my watches, so the lume has to be more than sufficient. And as you can see here, it's more than sufficient. Case back now, we actually changed the case back on this one to a more simple all brush design than any of our previous models. Previously we've had the Erebus logo in relief, which looked really cool, but we figure the case back is more about comfort. So the smoother it is, the more comfortable it's going to be on wrist. And we have matched the font used on the front of the watch on the back of the watch. Crowns are Erebus branded and offer plenty of grip for when you need them. I suspect people will be flicking that complication back and forth to show it off, so we had to make sure that the crowns allow you to do that. It's a 7.5mm crown on the 40 and a 7mm crown on the 38, by the way. The leather straps are great, really very, very nice. They're super comfortable. They smell fantastic, believe me. The stitching used is high quality and they all feature quick release spring bars. All hardware is Erebus branded and brushed, of course. Plus we had the straps reworked with extra holes put in at either end so that it comfortably accommodates from just under a 6-inch wrist all the way up to just over an 8.5-inch wrist. Now, we had a look at a bunch of different NATOs, but we settled upon this one. We thought it was a really interesting option for a field watch. Leather look retainers and a stitched leather look area around the holes give it a real outdoorsy feel. Again, Erebus branded, all brushed hardware, of course. Now, the packaging hasn't changed. It's still a 2-watch travel case that not only protects the 24 in transit, but allows you to take it on your travels along with another watch. And crucially, the 24 is still backed by our 14-day return policy and a 2-year warranty. We have service centres in the USA, the UK and Australia in the unlikely event that your watch needs attention. I say it again, these are only $499 US plus shipping plus taxes, paid in 2 parts. 50% today when you order the watch and 50% shortly before we ship the watch later this year. Right. I think that just about covers it. How on earth did this one come about though, and why has it taken 2.5, nearly 3 years to get it from initial idea to the watch on my wrist, the watch that you've just seen? So this all started in August 2023. We had not even launched our first watch when the seed for this watch was planted in my tiny mind. I saw this exact video on Instagram by Analog Shift featuring a Gruen Airflight watch. And I gotta say, I was blown away. I had never seen one of these before, and I'd never seen this particular complication before. Now sadly, the complication died with the company when Gruen closed their doors in the late 1970s. I instantly sent the video to Stephen and said, well, you can see what I said. Stephen was not so convinced, suggesting that we get 100 made because they were ugly. I assured him that I was only interested in the principle and not the actual design, and he could immediately see the potential for this type of complication in a field watch. He said field watch, I said field watch, let's do it, and yeah, here we are. And that was it really. Literally a 2-minute conversation back in August 2023, and we had decided that we wanted to bring this complication back, and we wanted to bring it back as a field watch. The only problem was it took 2.5 years to get to this stage. We spoke to our production partner who subcontracted to a movement specialist on our behalf. We paid a large development fee, and then we waited and waited. And nothing happened. It turns out the first movement modifier couldn't modify the movement, so our production partner contacted a second movement modifier, and we waited again. This time we had more success though, and we got the first prototypes of the movement in hand here in Sydney for inspection and testing last year. And meanwhile, we worked with our designer to create the watch. Now the biggest limitation here was the size of the numerals. They can only be a certain size if you're trying to fit 2 sets of them onto the same disc. So we had to work really hard with the rest of the design around that to ensure that the watch still looked and felt proportional. We got a full suite of 20 working prototypes delivered to us in Sydney last year. We wore them ourselves over the Christmas holidays, made sure that everything was working well, and here we are another 3 months later, launching them on the market in early March. Stephen and I are both confident that after more than 2.5 years since our initial conversation, we got the watch we wanted. We got a field watch that's still a field watch, but it has a really interesting and really exciting twist to it that has never been put into a field watch. That all sounds great, Jody, but what are these moans and niggles? Well, you know I try to be honest in all of my videos. There's no such thing as a perfect watch, and indeed, there are a few small niggles with the 24 that I'm aware of and that you need to be aware of too. The first is there's going to be a 6-month wait for these. Due to the complexity of the module and the assembly, it's going to take a month or 2 longer than usual. We normally quote 4 to 5 months after pre-order for delivery. This time we're saying that we're going to deliver these watches in October this year. So still well before year end, but an extra month or so, just so that you're aware of, just so that you can build that into your thinking. These watches are all hand assembled, which does lead to some minor variations in when the complication activates. We have a guarantee from our production partner to get them as close to 12 as possible, but we're going to warrant 2 minutes either side of 12. So It may be that the watch you receive changes just before the 12, or it may be that the watch you receive changes just after the 12. As I said, we have to allow a little margin here, so we are saying plus or minus 2 minutes. And only 50 meters of water resistance for the 38. We really wanted it to match the 100 meters of the 40mm, but to their credit, our production partner said, look, it's not possible. The case is a bit smaller. We can only guarantee 5 atmospheres. So, if you're going to be taking this one diving, then buy the 40, but I think for most people, 50 meters with the extra surety and security of a screw-down crown is going to be more than sufficient for daily life. And loom, you saw the loom earlier on, we didn't loom the numerals. That was part of the initial design, but there just wasn't enough space in order to get enough loom on the numerals without having them foul the mechanism. I'm sure you know what I mean, they would have raised too far off the disc. So we could have had loom and problems or no loom and no problems, and we decided there was enough loom elsewhere that we didn't have to loom the numerals. So there you have it. We are clearly really excited about this one. It has been percolating away for a number of years, and it's great for us to finally have watches in hand, on wrist, and to be able to show people. We're delighted that we managed to bring that old complication back, but sitting on top of a modern movement with modern materials and in a robust and functional design that we think is the perfect application for it. Perhaps we've been a little bit safe with some of our watches up to this point. I think the 24 shows that we want to push the boundaries a bit, and we can do that without losing our core values, our emphasis on usability, on quality, and on value for money. So that will do for today. There will be reviews of this one popping up elsewhere over the next few weeks, from the likes of Dave at Just the Watch, Russell the Mad Watch Collector, Jason the Watch Guy, Ben from Ben's Watch Club, James from Watching James, and we're even getting mentions in Worn and Wound and Time and Tide. Check us now, playing with the big boys. Make sure you check them out and make sure you order one before the 4-week pre-order ends, because when it ends, the price goes up by $100. Well done for making it all the way to the end of the video. While you're here, why not check out another couple of watches by Erebus. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you over there.